Hello there, my fellow curious minds, and welcome back to Tech Advantage, the podcast where we talk about technology, business, and personal growth. I'm your host, Tondow Abraham, co-founder and head of technologies at Blue Mind. And today on this podcast, we have a special guest, Mr. Fishon. He's going to be sharing with us his experience as a builder and an enthusiast. So could you introduce yourself, Mr. Fishon?
Yeah, good day, Abraham, and good day to the audience of Tech Advantage. My name is Fishon Amos, and I am currently the co-founder and CEO at Tapnob.
All right.
Yeah.
That's great. So it's good to have you on this podcast. We're very much excited about all that you're going to be sharing with us today.
Yeah, I'm also excited to be here.
All right. So I'll just be
Yeah.
asking you a few questions that will then be able to get some information from you. So I'll start now. First
Okay.
off, from your bio, you tell us about your experience as a builder. You shared with us how you've built from Quickie. I don't know if I got the pronunciation right. It's MyQuickie to
Yep.
the exchange to Reala and then now at Tapnob. So can you just walk us through the journey and what's each stage have taught you about building products in the emerging markets?
Yeah. So my journey, even though the bio tried to summarize it in a way, has not been straightforward as it is stated there. So I can go back to the beginning where I first
Right.
interacted with technology. Yeah. So as a kid, I've always been a very curious kid. I like to play around with things. I like to spoil things, if you may say.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So uh, my first interaction with technology was when my dad brought home a laptop from the library, and then
Okay.
he dropped it, and then he asked us to open it, use it, and gain computer skills, because that's what he said, and that was the trend then, right? That was around 2011 to 10, between those two periods. And then
All
from
right.
that moment, I started exploring the computer itself. I was going through Encounter keys, Encounter Premium. I guess a lot of people are familiar with Encounter then. I don't know if they are
Okay.
still functioning now.
Okay.
So from
I don't
there,
really
I
know
was
about it.
okay. You don't know about it. You missed a lot. Yeah. Encounter was a kind of knowledge base. You had
Okay.
a lot of things there. So I explored that, and then fast forwards, I went to secondary school, and then that curiosity in technology, in what is happening, the trends that are happening in that
Okay.
period, ignited an interest in trying to kind of build things. And then I can also attribute some of it to science fiction, watching movies. And then I
Okay.
was seeing how things are done. This hacker is trying to hack this. And then I kind of developed some interest. And
Yeah.
yes, so it was not really something that I wanted to do as a career initially. So fast forward to secondary school, I became a friend with my ICT director in my secondary school. And
Okay.
then that gave me access to our computer lab every time. And I went to a boarding school. So we didn't have access to computers personally, but you had it in the computer lab. So in the computer lab, I go there and then I watch how he set up things, the school websites, and a lot of other things. And then it was interesting to me. So I approached him. I said, these things you are doing, I want to learn them. I'm interested in them, and I want to gain knowledge in this. So he accepted me, and then I started working as his intern. I can call it illegal intern then,
Oh,
because I was dodging classes. So I kind of was going there, watching what he's doing, and then uh, at that period, our school wanted to set up a LAN, local area network, and then I think that was my first major experience uh, in kind of doing something for the consumer or solving a problem with technology.
Okay.
So after that period,
when you go on.
so we set up the LAN, a LAN for my secondary school. And then that was my first experience on seeing how to set up technology to improve business processes, starting from my school. And then our school website too was set up an entire portal for our school for management of results and student records. And I was part of that process, that period. So when I left secondary school already, I've already developed that
I feel like
some levels of experience.
Adequate experience from secondary school. That's huge.
Yeah. So I've developed that level of experience and I kept contact. So before I left, my ICT director left the school. He's from Ghana. So he left the school and then I graduated to that period and then I went to university that time.
Okay.
So I went out with that mindset that, no, I actually want to solve problems. So I never approached technology at any point with the mindset of code or the tech itself. I think what helped me at the early stage is that I see technology as a tool to enable you to solve problems. I saw that early. So when I went out with that mindset, I tried a lot of things. I worked in a couple of companies, gigs here and there. And I even set up a media company then, Abuja Chronicles. Yes. Yes, that was when I was around 100 level or 200 level. I set up Abuja Chronicles, and I think the link is still up to now. And like I was really a couple of things. Yes, I will share it with you.
All right.
So
thank you.
I set it up, and then kind of the entire idea is to document the happenings in the space in Abuja. That's event, any other thing happening, but majorly tech. But I was badly inexperienced, so it didn't fly, and then I left it. So fast forwards, so let me start with MyQuickie Exchange. How I started working at MyQuickie Exchange. So before MyQuickie Exchange, I met a guy who has remained up to today my mentor and someone I respect a lot, Moses. Sunday Moses, that's his name. And he took me in as his mentee. And we worked on a lot of consultancy projects. We worked on a school management system then. Then it was not really something that was like common in Nigeria. EdTech was not really prominent. So we worked on a Cavalry. We called it Cavalry then. A school management system. We built it. We had some customers in Abuja and some customers in Lagos. And then I was not really only a techie in that company because I don't like to limit myself to a specific niche. So I see myself more as a generalist that can do almost anything. So I was, aside writing code and anything, I was also running some of the business processes, some of the support, products, and client communications. So we set up Cavalry, but then at some point it didn't fly. So I left. I even left before that time. I left to go and do other things, to work in other places and do some of my other stuffs and my education. So fast forward, Sunday he came back again. So Sunday is a serial founder. He's a serial founder. He always has ideas. So he came back again and called.
I love Fred like also. He always he has so many ideas and he wants to implement. You just keep coming up with new ones over time.
Yes. And it's like I said, this guy, calm down now, calm down. Calm down, boss. Like, yeah, just coming up with things, yeah. So he came back and he has another idea that he wants to do exchange. Like you can exchange crypto, you can exchange gift cards, you can exchange a lot of these things. And I said, no problem, let's start working. Then we started working on it, two of us, before eventually he brought in some people. And same thing too, we move it. MyQuickie is still operating up to today. They are still operating and they have a lot of traction. But then at some point, so I worked at MyQuickie. for up to a year. And within that period, it's not that I was also doing some other like work, but yeah, so I was with them for over a year as one of the founding team. And aside my salary, I also had equity, but at some point I just thought I need to move to other things.
Okay.
So I left MyQuickie, and then I had like some few months to focus on myself, focus on my kind of trying to improve my skills in anticipation of what will come next. So from MyQuickie, I left. I did a couple of other things, some couple of experimental projects in land management and a lot of other things before coming to start Reala. So Reala started in late 2024. So the idea of Reala is how can we digitize the real estate industry and make it easy for real estate managers and real estate companies to manage their portfolio, manage their properties end to end, including payments. And then on the other hand, how can we make it for users to be able to find real estate? So if you are looking for a house to rent, you can come to Reala, search through our houses listed by verified agent and verified companies, and then you can schedule tours and then rent. Same thing for shortlets and then land verification. So Reala was the first platform in Nigeria to provide full stack real estate services and also to provide land verification services. So you can verify land, you can verify layouts. If you want to buy land, you can come to Reala and verify. And you can also verify layouts.
Does your verification process include any form of CFOs and all of those documents?
Yes. So if you want to buy land, you collect the CFO from the potential buyer and come to Reala and verify it.
That's nice.
Yeah. So we worked on that. We launched it. We finished it in like 3 months. Like we were so motivated working on that. And it's out of personal experience. We have experienced, me personally, for example, a lot of scams in the real estate. So I thought like it was a personal problem to solve. So we move on. We launched Reala, and then within the same period, so within this, the interesting thing that happened is that, so within the same period where I was working with Reala, I was also working in a company because I was not really full-time at Reala.
Okay.
So I was working at Atoma AI.
Okay.
Yes. So at Atoma AI, I've been already working there for over 6 months then. Then we started Reala, and I kept working there since I'm able to kind of manage my time. And I think it makes sense at that early stage to also continue doing that. So I kept working. Atoma AI is an AI infra company, decentralized AI. They provide inference services for people who need cheap access to inference. So if you need access to all these open source models, you can easily get them at a cheaper rate from Atoma. So we built it in a decentralized way whereby you can also be a node provider. So if you have the infra, you have GPUs, extra GPUs you are not using, you can join the Atoma node. And then sell your...
You can as a provider and also as a user.
Yes, so you join the Atoma as a provider, and then people will use your infra, and then they can also use it for training too. So yes, so we have 3 components of Atoma. Then we have the Atoma node, which you can join as long as you fulfill the technical requirements in terms of infra. And then you have the Atoma inference service where consumers can have access to it, which we serve it through the Atoma proxy. So Atoma proxy is our API platform where you can go and get access to cheaper compute. So we had that, and then I was working on that. I worked on like both the node, and then I worked on the proxy service, and then I worked on ecosystem to trying to kind of push Atoma out. Just as I've said that I don't like focusing mostly on the tech alone. So I worked on trying to push adoption of Atoma.
You know, with this you're stating, I think you would do very well as a CEO because, so you're not like so restricted to the tech part. You also put your hands in the business and see how the infrastructure can be spread across. That's really great.
Yeah. So I proposed to them that I'm willing to push it in Africa here. It's an American-based team. So
yeah, I'm just looking your products up. I see they provide Snowflake and BDR, even Databricks.
Yes.
Wow.
So, but then at some point, so the thing is, I've always wanted to do my own thing. So those are just kind of a means to an end. So I was there. My work was very, very good. And I received a very good rating, very good review from my manager then at Atoma. And then at some point, I decided that it was time for me to leave to concentrate on what we are building at Reala and at Tapnob.
Okay.
So interesting to point that at the same time, before we launched Reala, we're also working, we started thinking about the idea of Tapnob at the same, in the middle of our launch of Reala. So by the time we launched Reala around July, officially.
Okay.
And we also launched Tapnob around July 15th exactly. So it was a very interesting situation to be.
How did you guys manage running them concurrently?
Yeah, so it's a story of sweat and blood. Sweat, blood, and capital, right? And with a lot of learning. Yes.
That's interesting.
So in fact, when we met then in Abuja,
yes,
I remember, we already we have launched Reala then, but Tapnob was still in the works. So then we were talking to Bernard, that's the CEO of Tapnob.
Yes,
and Jeremy, yes, and a couple of guys there. And they say, see, just launch this thing, just bring this thing out, just bring it, just launch it. Don't wait and be thinking about. So we decided that evening, in fact, that evening, when I went back, I started searching for a name. So I started searching for a name. We didn't know what to name it. We were thinking of SatsGo then, but then we wanted a .com. So, but then we're able to
there's a lot of problems that a lot of builders get to face these days, especially with naming. Almost all of the domains are taken, especially the .com domains.
Yes, the .com are taken, and .com is more scalable. So,
so what do you think is going to be the future solution to this problem? Because I feel like it's going to get to a point where there's no more domain for any brand name. I've been trying to think of a way that this would be solved, but I don't seem to come up with anything at all.
Yeah, so for this domain issue, right, it's something that throughout that evening, we're kind of going back and forth on the right name.
Okay.
And I think in the long term, it's not something I've looked into how it can be solved, but if you look at the pricing of domain, has been going up. When you compare it year in year, it has been going up. So I think it's an interesting problem or interesting place to look into and see how we can minimize the cost.
But that's great. So you guys,
but it's Tapnob.com? Yes, it's an issue of demand and supply. That's another this thing. When you look at .ai domains, .ai domains now, they are very expensive. A few years ago, they were not that expensive.
The rarity is this the demand.
Yes,
you're right. Okay.
So fast for us to Tapnob.
Yeah.
We launched Tapnob on the 15th, and the entire idea of Tapnob, the minimum idea of it, is for Africans to be able to move from Bitcoin to their local currencies, and then from their local currencies to Bitcoin. So if you have traveled to West African countries, you know that the fragmentation of currency is a very big problem that has not still been solved because the tech is fragmented. So there's no unified tech to move from one currency to another. Nigeria, you have NIPS. When you go to other countries, they have their own technology. So there's no easy way to integrate. Yeah. So how can we integrate African currencies? So Bitcoin is global money,
Yes.
and already we have the technology which Bitcoin provides through Lightning.
Yes.
It is cheap. So why can't we use Lightning to kind of provide a switch between African currencies, such that if I send Naira payment in Nigeria here, somebody in Ghana can receive cedis, and then Lightning will serve as a switch in that transaction.
Okay. So it will provide that interface. Sorry, let me answer this question.
Yeah.
Now, do you think there's going to be any future provision for a single infrastructure to cover all of Africa?
Yeah, so the thing is, trying to predict the future
Mm-hmm.
is a bit difficult. But I think if it was
That's
possible, it would have been done for a long time now. Like these big guys that have the money, they have the capital, they will have done it. But the
mm,
problem is not really the technology itself. The problem is beyond technology. It's a whole
yeah, I
lot of
think it was
problem.
the government
Yeah,
included and so many other
policy,
things.
legal, a
Yes.
lot of problems. So, and then when you look at it, if you want to bet on which technology will be able to easily solve this problem, you have that bias to bet on Bitcoin and maybe other blockchain solutions, because
Yes.
people are already using them. You understand? Outside the system. So people are already using
Yeah,
it outside the system.
that's true.
Yeah. So if you notice, even the big players now on the fiat side of things are trying to move
Mhm.
into this. Flutterwave acquired Mono a few days ago.
Yes, I saw that recently. That's a
Yes.
huge money they invested into that project.
Yes. So you can see that even the big players there are looking
Yes.
at, no, this place, this is actually the better way to go. But ultimately you can't say which. But I think I'll bet more on Bitcoin, on Lightning, on stable assets as a means to facilitating trades between other African countries and even globally. So
Okay.
that's one core objective that Tapnob try to facilitate. And right now on Tapnob, we are only operational for now in Nigeria. And in Nigeria
Okay.
now you can spend Bitcoin in any shop to anybody in Nigeria,
So
any account
automatically
number in
the
Nigeria.
set tracks the value to the currency they require. That's the Naira.
Yes. So
That's
you
good.
just get your Naira. You can completely live on Bitcoin. We also support USDT because it's a big stuff. USDT is big in Africa. So we also support USDT. And we are also moving to other features such as merchants. So we want
Yeah.
for merchants to be able to accept payments. We want to expand access to payment for merchants in Nigeria. And we'll soon pilot that in some weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully February, that should be out. So for merchants now, you can be able to serve crypto native audiences. Like a lot of young people today, like we are the next generation, right? We are in the present generation, not only the next. But like when you want to kind of predict
Yes.
the future, you want to look at what are this generation, what are they interested in? And
That's
you
true.
can bet on it that we are interested in digital assets. That's what we are familiar with. And that's where the future is going. So I think any smart business will start looking at how I can expand my customer base by accepting payment in a risk-free way. So that's what Tabnob gives you, that access in a risk-free way. You don't need to be exposed to the digital assets. We cover that for you. We take all the risks, and then you just get your value.
That's very great. So you really have substantial experience, and I hope to learn a lot more from you. Like moving forward, I'll do reach out to you for more, like some more detailed explanation on some things you mentioned. So I'll just move to the next question. You spoke about how you've been able to build infrastructures in all of the projects you've worked previously. So now focusing on systems that compound rather than one-off wins. How has that mindset shaped the way you approach the products and infrastructure you build, as well as your leadership?
That's an interesting question. I wrote a whole article note about that.
Okay.
Yeah. So looking at working in companies, I think any opportunity that I see where I work, I see it as a learning opportunity. From MyQuickie Exchange, from my secondary school computer lab, other things I worked on, MyQuickie Exchange, Reala, Atoma, and now Tapnob, is a learning experience. And then I've been able to develop some high-level principle that the technology, we have this
Yeah.
temptation as tech people or software engineers, so I'm a software engineer, I'm writing code, to kind of
Yeah.
think tech or technology is just limited to the deployment. Oh, we have launched. So, okay, you have launched. What next?
What next?
Yes.
Sorry, you see this thing you just stated. Now,
Yes.
I had this experience during my internship. The CTO, I was working with him as an executive assistant. So there was one time he was telling me, he said, "You tech people, you guys just feel like launching or building the product. That's all there is to making money." That he said that's just like 1% of what
Yeah.
should be done getting the products. And the way he just made it, I feel like he was trying. I felt like he was trying to attack me at that point. But over the years now, I feel like I always reference that phrase. When I meet developers and they tell us about projects to be done, what's to put in place, and I feel like most of them, they just feel like, okay, that is the major goal. But that's
Yeah.
just part of the goal.
Yeah.
That's just part of the goal. And as you're stating it now, I feel like you should just emphasize on it even more.
So the
Okay.
culture that compounded, that was able to produce Reala, that was able to
Yeah.
produce Tabnob now, is simply some high-level principle of emphasizing on building the mill. So when I talk about the mill, then in my article,
Yeah.
the mill are a set of high-level principles that guide whatever you are doing. They are long-term objectives. They are your vision. For example, now Tabnob. Now, if you ask me about Tabnob, this other explanation I told you about Tabnob now, that we have USDT, we have Bitcoin to this. Those are just milestones. Those are like just okay. If now that we have launched USDT, or we have enabled Bitcoin, what next? You understand?
Yeah.
So you not kind of reach this position where you hit the wall. You don't know where to move again. Simply because the entire essence of your building was on that temporary milestone, temporary project mindset. And I have to argue against builder mindset.
Okay.
It's something that has been popularized on Twitter, and also people are glamorizing, builder mindset, founder mindset. Most times people don't get the context of what is being discussed. So
Okay.
when I talk about
Which?
the system, when I talk about
Yeah.
the systems, what I'm talking of is, let me use Tabnob in the context of Tabnob now. I think that would be better.
Okay.
I'm talking about the team, which is number one. So
Okay.
one thing I've learned over the years is that the team you are working with is more important than the idea you are working with. So because if you have the wrong team, if you have the wrong co-founder, the wrong employees, not only co-founder, the wrong employees, just the wrong team, it can scatter
Yeah.
whatever you are doing. So you have to be very, very intentional about who you are building. So that's an example of a mill, right? It's a
Yeah.
long-term initiative. So once you get your team right now, what is the next thing you have to look at? You now have to look at, already, if you get your team right, your culture will automatically be right. But even if the team is right, you have to cultivate the culture. So the culture is there, but you have to cultivate it and make it that, okay, this is our culture. This is how we do things in this company. And cultures are different. You can't duplicate the culture of another company into your own company. They are unique. I said something a few days ago. I said advice is data. So most times in advice, when you get advice, or you go to Twitter and get advice, and even this advice right now I'm saying, right, at the end
Yeah.
of it, most of it is noise, but the signal is just few out of it. So you can't duplicate another person's culture into your own company. Your culture is unique to your experiences as co-founders of that company, as executives, as team members.
Sorry, I really like this point that you've stated. I just remembered a specific, I don't know if I'll call it a short article Mr. Jeremy shared on his WhatsApp today.
Yeah.
He said the startup is you. And
Yeah.
that's just like making me understand how people should integrate all of their cultures and the whole thing that relates to the team and everything else into the
Yeah.
work, not just
Yes.
majorly the product.
Yeah. So for a tech company, right?
Yes.
Once you have gotten your team and you have gotten your culture right, you can now kind of start fine-tuning your idea. So the reason why ideas are cheap. So you can always move on to the next idea, to another idea. Like you can't be emotional about idea. If it doesn't
Some
work,
people feel otherwise, actually. Some people feel like the idea is the major thing and then the
yeah.
team is. I mean, I feel
Yes.
like that's where some others get it wrong, you know.
Yeah.
So
So
I really
you
like
can have the greatest idea,
yes.
but the team and culture will kill it.
Mm, that's
Yeah.
valid.
Once you get your team, your culture is there, then you have your technical meal, which I can summarize it into like a kind of your idea and technical meal. That's your ability to execute. So your team will have that ability to execute. So these are like kind of the meal I'm talking about, right? That produces the house. Like these are like
Okay.
principles of the meal that produces the house. So and these are things that like I'm kind of trying to implement, even me personally, right? It's not that it's not like a magical something I'm feeling, I'm learning as I go. So then you have your operation. How do you handle your operation? How do you do things? How do you handle day-to-day activities? Your
Okay.
processes. How do you make decisions? So,
Mm.
and then trust. Trust is another very strong meal. So most times when people are talking about tech, they are just talking about the code. They are just talking about
So there's another episode of Tech Advantage that will be published in next week. If you do listen to it, you would find out that a lot of things that was mentioned there is also relates to trust, building trust with people to help you
Yes.
scale.
Yeah.
So for a little bit of context, Mr. Fishon has been mentioning meal. So I just want to state what exactly he's talking about so that everybody follows along. So he's talking more about like equipment or systems to put in place to enable like a goal. So that's what it is. So now I'll move to the next question. I think we'll wrap up with this final question and then you give us a little bit of advice before we end the podcast. So, as someone learning while building at a high level, who do you look up to and what advice would you give young builders trying to bridge product vision and technical execution?
I look up to some interesting people, which a lot of people may not find interesting. For someone who builds a business is David Deutsch, which if
David,
you follow me a lot, yes, you know him, right?
not really.
Okay, he's a physicist at
Okay.
Oxford University, and he's one of the pioneers of quantum computing. And he wrote some interesting book about the multiverse, uh, the theory of everything, and explanations. So the reason why I consider David Deutsch as a very important figure in my life, I share his own ideology that the limitation to what we have in the world today is knowledge. So with abundant knowledge, every problem can be fixed. So our default state is a state of ignorance, but then with more knowledge and with more improvement, we always find solution to things. So the principles of optimism, right? I'm not a visionary, but I'm optimistic. Yes. So and other people there I look up to Navara Vikant. I'm sure you were
You
familiar
know,
with
I
Navara
follow
Vikant.
his podcast on
Yeah.
Spotify
So I
a lot.
in fact is one of the person that I know that influenced a lot of my views early on. So I was following Naval for a
Yeah.
very long time, many years ago. And then he influenced a lot of my views. my
A
philosophy.
lot of people think now I just became famous like as a result of all the products, but those that have followed him for a long time have really seen his work from way back.
Yes,
Like I'm talking.
yes. So in fact, a lot of my friends, I kind of onboarded them into naval philosophy and David Deutsch philosophy. And yeah, so on the business side, most times I tend to like Peter Thiel. He wrote an interesting book which I consider it's a fundamental 0 to 1.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it's an interesting business book. And I read that book at a very early age. I think then I was 17. And it kind of created that kind of default foundation. I think a lot of it influenced my perspective, even going up and even moving on. So those are some of the people I kind of look up to. There are a lot of people that time to time I
Yes,
look
we
up their
follow.
concepts. Yes, yes. So on the second part, you say on advice, I'll give young builders, right? Trying to bridge
Yes,
product vision and technical
technical execution, like trying to
execution.
become more intentional and building stuff, getting shit
Yeah,
done.
yes. So for young people, I'm also a young person. So
And
I'm
that's
also a
it.
young
Like,
person.
you've
So
gone past some level of milestones, so you
yeah.
have sufficient experience to be able to like bring stuff to reality. So
Yeah.
that's
So I think what I would say is it's still the same idea, right? When you go back to building the mill, just know your strengths. So the thing is that at a point in your career, not everybody is built for the startup lifestyle or the founder lifestyle as much as you see it is glamorized on Twitter, is this
that's
thing.
true. That's true.
Yes. So some people are more built for the technical side of things, or some people are generalists. So I think number one, you have to know your strengths. You have to be sincere with yourself and
Mm.
understand what you are good at. Because one thing I've noticed in the tech ecosystem is that as you advance in your career, one part is for you to go deeply technical, and another part for you is to go into business or go into products. So that's
Yeah.
like maturity that you reach in your career. So you have to choose based on the skills you have and the experiences you have done so far. Where do I want to go? So when you have that, I think one thing you can do is to figure out who you want to work with and know why you are doing that. Not because somebody on Twitter or somebody on LinkedIn is posting and then
Mm.
you started, because if you don't have internal motivation for what you are doing, you easily give up. There are a lot of days that on Tapnob, I just wake up and I don't want to do anything on Tapnob, but then I have to do it. It's frustrating, right? So building a business anywhere in the world, not only in Nigeria, is very, very frustrating. Then you add it to the fact that in Nigeria, access to capital is very difficult. So because
The
capital is
limitation
very
as in
important.
where the limitation as a Nigerian is super like it is double from any other place in the world.
Yes. So you have to be a strong man. You have to be a strong man. People expect you to be a strong man
That's
or a strong
true.
woman for
True.
you to do this thing. So you have to carry yourself. Don't believe nobody will breastfeed you. If you are not ready to be a strong person, if you want to go and cry in the public square, nobody will pity you because they
Of course.
expect you to be a strong person. They expect you to carry on because in the first place, they didn't ask you to start it. So,
Yes.
yeah, so nobody cares, basically. Jeremy says that a lot, that nobody cares. That's the truth. Nobody cares.
Really
At the
true.
end, what matters is feedback from market. Market is the best form of feedback. Uh, when you push into the market, do the minimal you can do. Test it first in
Yeah.
the market. Once you test it and you get feedback from market, not feedback from your friends. When your friends say it is nice, it doesn't matter. Or your mom say you are smart. So it's an open society. It's
Yeah.
a kind of some of the philosophies have kind of embraced open society, Austrian economics. I believe in open market. I believe in free market, and I believe in customer as the ultimate judge of everything. So if customers give you a wrong uh, feedback and that feedback continues scaling, then it is time to move on to another thing. Yeah.
Surely.
So I think that's all I have for
Okay.
anybody. I don't know if it sounded nice.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
adequate. Even I have learned so much from all of your experiences so far. So thank you so much for this short time we've had on this podcast. I really do appreciate your time sharing all of this information with us. And hopefully, subsequently, we'll have you come and share some more detailed, maybe something specific to your technical experience you can give us
Yeah.
as some information to be resourceful for.
Yeah, we
Yes.
can talk maybe about kind of financial inclusion or maybe Tapnob itself, and I think by then we must have done a lot of other things that will be interesting
Okay.
to talk about.
All right. So thank you so much for listening to Tech Advantage today. And if you've gained value from this podcast, please do share with a friend, leave us a rating, and follow the podcast on whatever platform you're listening from. Thank you so much. And remember, technology is your advantage.